From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big noontime here on LALATE with incredible details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. It's done. The president has signed the major legislation in Europe for the fourth stimulus, surprising millions of Americans, anchoring fourth stimulus to the finish line. I'll go over the breaking news that happened minutes ago. It has been signed into law. The G7 countries have now signed a critical element of the fourth stimulus package minutes ago. I'll be going over all the incredible, wonderful news. Then we'll be going over how much the Democrats want you to have under this fourth stimulus check, when the Democrats propose you to get a stimulus check, and talk about a fifth stimulus check from the Democrats as well for next year. Then we'll be turning to fifth stimulus and the incredible lifting up your benefits and why the inflation rate may be so high this December. The breaking news happening in the last few hours. And then we go over the thousands of dollars available for you right now. I want you to get that money on this noontime broadcast. Meantime, we have big exciting details of what's happening with the Democrats in the House, the Senate, and the President, who all want you to have that fourth stimulus check. It's all right here on Noontime LALATE. Good noontime, everybody. How are you? Hope the weather is great where you are. It is Friday noontime here in Los Angeles, just after 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hope the weather is good where you are. Tell me where you're tuning in from, and tell me how the weather is. It is sunny, as you can tell. The sun is coming in very strong. You can barely see the orchids behind me. There are white orchids there and purple orchids next to them, and you can barely see them because of the strong sun. But hope the weather is good where you are. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we have the breaking news from minutes ago when the president signed into law a major deal in the fourth stimulus package. It's absolutely critical. And later in this broadcast, I'm going to break it down to you why this is absolutely so overwhelmingly important and wonderful. We'll be going over the fourth stimulus check as well. The Senate, House, and the president want you to have it. We'll be going over how much is at issue from those Democrats. Then we'll be cutting to fifth stimulus and why the raising up of your benefits may be a lot more than initially thought. It's all because of yesterday's consumer price index number released. Oh boy, this is good news. And then in the middle of this video, we get thousands of dollars and viewers continue to rock it. One viewer got $6,000 on Monday. It's your turn to get it as well. This is LALATE, the only 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week financial news channel. Breaking every YouTube record there is. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. Hundreds of millions of views. I think we're almost at 150 million hours of watched programming in 1 year. It's incredible numbers. So subscribe. I want you part of this family. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. I'm next back with you on Afternoons LA at 3 p.m., then Evenings LA at 5 p.m., and then Evening Overnights Crypto. I have big shows this afternoon, so don't miss those shows. Subscribe. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes. It really helps in the algorithm ranking, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into this fourth stimulus, and stay with me to the end because this is going to be extended broadcast because there is so much breaking news today. All right, let's get into that fourth stimulus check right off the board. The Democrats in the House propose to give you a monthly stimulus check, as so do the senators. But let's compare the two approaches. The House members propose to give you a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year in the House bill. The House bill provides a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic monthly, and then 1 year thereafter monthly. Let's compare that to the Senate proposal. That is a stimulus check from July to December. Okay, now let's look at the monthly amount. The monthly amount for this House bill is $2,000 first month, $1,000 thereafter. The Senate proposal is a monthly amount unknown, but word on the street is it's this, Wow. Senate Democrats reportedly want to pay you $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. That is per person. If you're in the live chat just after 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, get ready to vote House or Senate, but not just yet. We have to look at some of the macroeconomic factors at issue. Also tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. The macroeconomic factors may impact the House bill, which is pandemic plus 1 year. It may result in the House bill being reduced to just 1 year because the pandemic may be viewed over. That would result in 12 months of stimulus checks over 12 months, or $13,000 compared to this from the senators over 6 months. Okay, I think I have an opinion. Jump into the live chat or in the comments under the video and vote House or Senate and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Let's go over everything else you need to know about the amount and the details of this fourth stimulus check at noontime. The Democrats propose that you would get a fourth stimulus check if you got a third stimulus check. So if you're a single individual, make less than $75,000, you get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check, just double it. The Democrats propose. And then if you're a household 4 or less, the Democrats want to give you a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And finally, if you're on benefits, the fourth stimulus check would come to you from the Democrats. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, multiple benefits as well. Fourth stimulus check is not taxable because it's not income. The fourth stimulus check would not come in waves. It's a monthly stimulus check. So don't wave at it. It won't wave back. Hi, check. Why is it not waving back to me? The fourth stimulus check is not coming in waves, but it will go out in the month of July. The Democrats represent the final vote would be month of July, and the Democrats represent that the first check would be the month of July for the month of July, for the month of August, in the month of August, and that the fourth stimulus check would be the same amount from the Democrats, from adult dependents, minor dependents, and everyone else. That is your first of 3 parts of the fourth stimulus check updated 2021 in this extended noontime broadcast. But stay with me to the very end because I got 2 more shocking details, including that major deal just signed. But first, here's a preview of the second half of this video. The second half of this video is absolutely jam-packed with information on that 5th stimulus package that starts in September and raises up your benefits. But guess what? You're going to learn for the first time on noontime, first, this incredible cash infusion of $1 billion from the president into the system that'll help you get things like stimulus checks faster, unlike third stimulus. Remember, it's not on my Direct Express card today. I haven't gotten a Comerica alert. All that is going to go away. All those details coming up the second half of this video. Second, he's going to be raising up your benefits. And third, the inflation rate may be a lot higher because of yesterday's Consumer Price Index number. Oh boy, this is wonderful. I have all those details coming up, so stay with me. It's in the second half of this video, but first, let's get some money. If you're new to this channel, what I do is I get people money. I don't just report news. I get people money. We aren't tracking checks. We're cashing checks. And there's $350 billion available for you for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities coming from the federal government to you. That's $350 billion for you. Well, not just for you. What do you think this is? The Publishers Clearinghouse? It's for you to share. So, you can take $349. I'll take the other billion. It's coming from the federal government. It's for you to share. And what is it? It's for rent, at least to start. $5,000 for rent, about approximately 4 to 6 months of rent. I want you to get that money. Remember when third stimulus passed, I told you that, yeah, you're going to get a $1,400 stimulus check, but you're also going to be eligible for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of money. And this is the opportunity for you to get this big sums of money. So get a pen and paper ready, or if it's a Crayola crayon and it's purple, then we're all good. And let's get to the details. I'm going to go over the different places where you get the money. If one says no, don't worry, reach out to the next. They all have their own pot of money. You ready? Here we go. City Hall, City Housing Authority. County Hall, County Housing Authority. State Hall, State Housing Authority. The key words you're going to say when you reach out to them is rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID. You're not going to say anything that they don't know. You could say mortgage assistance because of COVID, but don't say words they don't know. Like, don't call them up and say stimulus. They won't know what you're talking about. And don't call them up and say Macarena. They'll say, sir, this is not 1990. So you got to say the right words. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this money. If you've gotten any money from this channel, whether it is rent or utilities or $100 or $10,000 in December last year, jump into the live chat, say what you got, because it inspires other viewers, inspires me. Any dollars that this channel helps you get, it really makes a big difference. Because if you're watching this and you say, I haven't got any money, I saw that person get money, I'm going to get it as well. Well, I was inspired on Monday when one viewer jumped into Mornings LALATE and said she got $560 approximately per month for this next item, which is $6,000 to $7,000 a year. What is it? It's SNAP. SNAP is food from the Department of Agriculture, DOA. How do you get it? Reach out to Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is the same about as a stimulus check, and it's wonderful. How much can you get? A family of four in Hawaii can now get upwards of $16,000 a year because of SNAP. Why so much? Because of two executive orders, one from Trump and one from Biden, that raise your benefits up about 15% between now and December. So go get it. Lynn Glenn got it for herself and her son and her mom, and Gail got it as well. I want you to get that money. But guess what? I got $5,000 more for you. And one viewer got it for himself. Where is it coming from? The states. The federal government has identified states as overpaying you unemployment assistance due to computer error. Not your computer, their computer. And then asking you to return it, which you did. Well, the federal government said, no, that was your money to keep. And now the federal government has ordered the states to return the money back to you. Yes. So how are you going to get it? On direct deposit on the account you have on file with that unemployment department. When? Reach out to your respective states. Which brings us to the next pot of money, which is wonderful. COD jumped into our hit new show, Overnight's Crypto, our 15-hour show that runs 15 hours from evening to morning on the show on this channel. He jumped into it a week ago today to say, tell viewers, I got that money. I want them to know they're going to get it as well. Isn't that wonderful? That's the spirit of this channel. People helping people. What is it? It's the money back from IRS that you pay taxes on that unemployment assistance. Let's go over how much money you're going to get, when you're going to get it, how you're going to get it, and how to track it. First, how much money is it? It's a lot. Here's an example. Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment assistance. You paid a total tax bill of $5,000 last year on that 2020 return to IRS, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment assistance. Congratulations. You're getting back $4,000 from IRS. Next, how? In the case of COD, he had a direct deposit account set up for 2020's tax return. So it went to direct deposit. Everyone else, to the mail. Third, when? June. Finally, how to track it, go to irs.gov, set up a username and password, go in there, and do a transcript search of your name, your social security, and 70% of the time it works. It will reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid on that tax return, and the money you're getting back. Wow. Is there anything better than that for news? It is. And it comes to the second half of our fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today, starting right now. Minutes ago, the President of the United States signed into law one of the most important parts of the fourth stimulus package overseas, what is called the global minimum corporate tax rate of 15%, which now sets him up to come back and revise provisions of the fourth stimulus to finish it out to the finish line. I'll be going over all those details in a second, but let me tell you where we are for the process. Number one, we are under reconciliation and we have been there for a few weeks. Number two, the language of the bill is being marked up, we now know, meaning they're editing the language of the bill. Number three, they will be finished by July 4th. Number four, the entire Democratic leadership is on board to pass it, including Joe Manchin, who's indicated it privately to other Democrats. Number five, the legislation has all the provisions that we have been talking about, but Democrats in the House say they're going to put a monthly stimulus check in there. The Democrats in the Senate say they're going to put a monthly stimulus check in there, and the president has been asked, do you like a stimulus check or monthly stimulus check? Yeah, I do. Not that he was going to veto that ever again or ever, but there you go. President's talking about it, the House, the Senate, I'm talking about it, and print media is now putting it front page news. The only people not talking about your fourth stimulus check are the people who are not giving it to you. The GOP is not talking about it, and conservative press is never talking about it. So let's go over everything that brings us up to today's deal so I can explain to you slowly the relatively complicated deal today that the president just signed into law. It started over a week ago on the Friday before Memorial Day weekend when Leader Schumer said, we're calling the vote. He confirmed not one, but three breaking details that I have been reporting on this channel. Number one, the reconciliation process is underway. Number two, it'll be done by July 4th. And number three, it will not be held up for anything, and it will be passed. Well, how did we get to that point? We got to that point a week earlier when Jalapal, yes, the author of that House bill on the monthly stimulus checks, wrote Schumer a letter saying, call the vote. But what's important is that Jalapal's letter was co-signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among the 100-plus House Democrats who had early written the president a letter saying, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Wow, now that's really good news. Can we top that? And we can. 7 House Democrats, in a letter that has now been front-page news across broadcast media the last 3 days, wrote the president a letter about a week ago saying, sir, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package, and we'd like to talk to you about them. Well, who are these people? They're on the House subcommittee that is solely exclusively responsible for writing stimulus check legislation. Did they do the first stimulus check? They did. Did they do the second stimulus check? They did. Did they do the third stimulus check? They did. They wrote all those. And now they're writing the fourth? They are. Wow. Now that's really good news. And what happened thereafter? Well, the president was asked about this letter this week, and he said, I like it. I like it. There we go. What else is in this letter? A reference to a fifth stimulus check they're going to do as well in the fifth stimulus package. I'm going to explain that and answer your questions about that fifth stimulus check in just a second, the second half of this video. Well, that's incredible news. So can we top that? Yes. The president minutes ago signed a major law into the books, and I'm going to explain to you how we got there, what the law is, and I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can because it is relatively complicated. It started back several weeks ago when I referred to a particular Tuesday where the president had come up with an idea. Forced stimulus is paid for by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate to a higher percentage. But the president was concerned that U.S. corporations may leave U.S. soils and move overseas. He doesn't want them to leave. So he reached out to the leaders of 6 other countries called the G7 countries leaders to get them to raise something called the global minimum corporate tax rate so that businesses would not look for a lower corporate tax rate somewhere else and move somewhere else. Well, those countries tentatively agreed. The president then reached out to insiders that recent Tuesday ago and said, well, after forced stimulus is passed, in like August or September, I'll get those G7 countries to sign on the dotted line and then come back and modify the forced stimulus and drop the corporate tax rate closer to where it is. Wonderful news. With the corporate tax rate closer to where it is and monthly stimulus checks, well, then what happened thereafter? Well, last Friday, a week ago today, I found a buried news article. It literally was buried. It was on front page, it wasn't back page. That said the president was going to talk to the G7 countries leaders Saturday morning. And I told you, I don't know what he's going to be talking to them and why on a Saturday. But I said, stay with me for Saturday mornings LALATE, and I will reveal it when I learn what it is. And it was today's deal. Today, the president has been overseas and has been signing into law during his first international trip. An absolute incredible surprise. He is signing into law the global minimum corporate tax rate of 15% now before forced stimulus, not after forced stimulus, to push forced stimulus to the finish line and make it even cheaper. Wow. Now, this is really incredible, great news. Now, the next part I'm going to explain to you as simple as I can because it's boring stuff and I don't want to lose you on it. But here is what's at issue here, is that there's a lot of elements of pay-fors in the forced stimulus that are about taxing corporations. Now that he has this deal signed in Europe, Everyone and their sister and their brother says now he has to come back to the forced stimulus and take these respective things out of there because he doesn't need them anymore. He got them covered by the G7 countries. So now he's made the forced stimulus package easier to pass because he doesn't need those things added on the US level. He's taken care of them internationally. That is the easiest way for me to explain it to you. It is absolutely one of the real big achievements so far of this administration. And to do this before forced stimulus, to make forced stimulus so much easier, because he's taken care of the stuff that was going to be in forced stimulus by G7 countries, now makes it easier to get to the finish line. He is yanking forced stimulus over the finish line by taking out the provisions that he has just signed into law internationally today. Wow. In this third part of this video, I'll be going over what's going on back here in the United States. We'll be going over what will happen with the forced stimulus over the next few days. I'll have my personal impressions of the situation, and I'll go over the protagonista, who is really her telenovela is about to end. So I'm not going to cover her too much longer. I think it was almost a 24-hour telenovela. It's sort of like a mini telenovela-ita. But I will cover the protagonista in the second half, in the third part of this video, of the forced stimulus. But also I have the exciting details about fifth stimulus and why your benefits are heading to the roof. Wonderful news. But first, here's a little bit about the volunteers. The only thing better than this is getting rent, utilities, and food. If you need help getting rent, utilities, food, internet, and if trying to get in can't get it, don't worry. Reach out to the volunteers. Open the description of this video. Go in the description, and then you'll find an emoji of a house. Click the link, and it says news.lalate.com/community. Reach out to the volunteers. They'll help you get that rent, utilities, and internet. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with the exciting details still unfolding about forced stimulus, more about the checks, more about the deals, and more about what's happening with fifth stimulus coming up in this extended noontime broadcast in just 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Noontime LALATE with an extended broadcast. More details about that forced stimulus check that's going to the finish line coming up in the second half of this video. Oh, look what I did. I got some syrup behind me. Well, whatever. Coming up in the second half of this video, we'll be learning more about that monthly stimulus check. We'll be going over fifth stimulus and how it will be raised across the board. We'll be going over more about the details that you need to know, and we'll also be fixing the background. If we can. But across the board, wow, we are clicking things in all different lands across the sea today. There we go. Maybe right here. And then put me back in. And there I am. So subscribe. Whether I got ocean behind you or I got blue lines, I'm all here for you. This is Noontime LA. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. The most accurate and the most in-depth and most comprehensive recordings. 1 year, 400,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button right now. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into fifth stimulus. Second half of this video, I have a lot of stuff still coming up. The fourth stimulus, the Democrats, House, Senate, and President want you to have those stimulus checks. But first, we're going to go to fifth stimulus with a lot of major stuff you're going to hear for the first time on Noontime. First, yes, those 7 House Democrats want you to have a fifth stimulus check as well in the fifth stimulus package this fall. Viewers have asked me would the fifth stimulus work because they understand when the fourth stimulus is running. This is my sense of what they mean in that letter. I think what they think is the following. Fifth stimulus starts in September, out the door October, November. I think what they're thinking is the fifth stimulus checks would go out in January of 2022. So fourth stimulus would be this year and fifth stimulus would be next year. So yes, those 7 House Democrats have written the president that they're not only going to do fourth stimulus checks for you, but put fifth stimulus checks in the fall legislation. The second thing you need to know about fifth stimulus, which is absolutely wonderful, you're learning for the first time on Noontime, is that the president is dedicating $1 billion to the Social Security Administration under his budget bill to ensure that you get money, benefits, checks faster, quicker, and more diligently than ever before. If you were with me earlier in the spring, you saw all the videos with Direct Express by Comerica card. I haven't got to my stimulus check, my SSI stimulus check. I haven't got my stimulus check, but I got my benefits, or my benefits check is late. You saw all that mess earlier this year. He's trying to correct that. Remember, if you're on benefits, you get the fourth stimulus check, you get this benefits lifts, and if there's a fifth stimulus check, you would get that as well. Finally, the third thing you need to know is that yesterday, the Consumer Price Index number for the month of May was released. What is that number for? It tracks what is going on for prices of goods, namely food, groceries, gas, and auto sales. The number was the highest growth in 30 years year to date. When tracking the number from May of last year to the May of this year, it went up the highest amount that the number has gone up in 30 years. What does that mean? It means that the inflation rate later this year is going to be astronomical. That's wonderful as we go right into fifth stimulus right now. So now let's analyze that with that breaking news. First, under fifth stimulus, they're going to raise the benefit limits. Then they're going to remove the asset limits. They're going to apply an inflationary benchmark. That's what we were just talking about. They're going to remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. All right, now that you understand all the breaking news, let's apply it together as a family. This is how fifth stimulus is going to work. They're going to first raise up your benefits one big time. Who's you? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or multiple benefits, your benefits will be raised up one big time. Then they will apply the benchmark. The benchmark is inflation. How does this work? Let's just choose a number to start. Let's say it's 6%. First, they'll raise up your benefits under fifth stimulus. Then they'll raise you up an additional 6% in December for next year. But not just next year. Because the way that benefits works is once they raise you up, you never step down. It's a step up or stay the same. So if the inflation rate the year after that is 0%, you would still be at plus 6%. If the inflation rate the year after that is 1%, you'll be at plus 1 plus 6%. Now, one viewer after Mornings LA or in the Mornings LA comments said, can you explain from that consumer price index number to me what you think the inflation rate will be? Hard to say. This is what I want you to know and what I want you to hope for. Is what analysts are talking about is that this inflation rate, as gauged by that consumer price index number, is expected to continue to get higher and higher and higher and higher and higher throughout the end of this year and then come down. They call that temporary, or the word they use is transitory. It's a temporary massive spike of the inflation rate, and then it's going to come down. You know what I'm about to say. You want that spike, hopefully, to happen right around December or November, because that's when they apply the benchmark. And if you get that spike, that means your benefits will be raised up lifetime at that spike inflation rate number before the inflation rate drops down next year. Wonderful big news. Let's hope that that's how it happens, at least for my beneficiaries. It's a temporary spike of the number that would lift your benefits lifetime. All right. Then they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 98's law that says you can't have more than $3,000 on hand, just in time to get those stimulus checks in your hand. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960's law that says you can't have more than, that can't work and stay on benefits. It's going to go away. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to end. Finally, you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest, and love is going to win. You won't be blocked from becoming married because of fear of losing benefits. And if you are married, you will no longer suffer the marriage penalty. That's fifth stimulus, and it heats up this fall. But there's a lot of other things under fifth stimulus, in addition to those stimulus checks. What else is in there? It's that point that it's beneficial to becoming a member. Members every day are sent from me via the community page of YouTube a breakdown of everything that's in fifth stimulus, fourth stimulus, and third stimulus. Because on this channel, we aren't tracking checks, we're cashing checks. And there's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for you to get under third stimulus. And I send you a breakdown of all the money that's for you. So consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment with a breakdown of everything from the third, fourth, and fifth stimulus sent to you daily. Which brings us back to the exciting great news about the remainder of the fourth stimulus check updated 2021, the third part in this extended noontime broadcast. Well, I told you there's a lot of stuff going on, so let me explain to you what else. Now that the president has signed into law internationally today this ancillary legislation, he will be able to remove certain items of tax rates in the fourth stimulus, which helps the bill get over the finish line. This is where we are currently in addition to that. One, the Democrats are all on board to pass the fourth stimulus package, including Joe Manchin, who's made it very clear to the president. Second, the fourth stimulus legislation will pass on around July 4th. They represent the Democrats. Fifth or third? They're currently marking up the legislation. Next, the reconciliation process goes from the House to the Senate, back to the House, and then over to the Senate. And finally, everyone is talking about these stimulus checks. The president, the House, the senators, myself, and broadcast media. The only people not talking about it are the people not giving it to you. But there's a protagonista. Let me go over that protagonista, who I believe the telenovela run will end probably by the end of today. Over the last year, you've seen a lot of people who try to grandstand. They try to advance themselves politically by using the opportunity to suggest that they are somehow part of a negotiating effort to get something passed. In 2020, they were called the Problems Creators. They had how many appearances on broadcast media? Hundreds? Thousands? Appearing everywhere. How many things did they ever get anyone to agree upon? Zero. How many times did they often have press conferences on Capitol steps with big billboards? Many times. And what were they after? Grandstanding. In fact, one of them was trying to get himself reelected. I don't know if he ever did. But we have another person doing that right now. And her name, unfortunately, is Kristen Sinema. Political grandstanding. Yesterday, when the president left U.S. soils to get the fourth stimulus passed by modifying the global minimum corporate tax rate, what did she do? She reached out to retiring Republican senators to get them to agree upon raising the gas tax, not the corporate tax, something that the president's not even doing, and to get them to agree to something. Now, let's make something very clear. Those retiring Democratic senators don't represent the GOP, and her position about gas tax legislation is not something the White House agrees to whatsoever. But ironically, this is what happened. Throughout the day, she tried to have her press team send out statements saying she had an agreement. By the end of the day, it was absolutely smashed to pieces. For the first time under fourth stimulus, the GOP and the Democrats agreed upon one thing: Kristen Sinema has nothing to do with anything for forced stimulus. She does not have any GOP members that represent the caucus of the GOP in that negotiations, and the negotiations are not on behalf of the GOP. And she does not have the Democrats on her behalf in that negotiation. So why is she doing it? Grandstanding. And with that, her story died very quickly, that somehow she was doing something to help Americans, when in fact, she was at the very moment the president leaving U.S. soils coming up with a scheme to talk about something the president, the Democrats, the House, and the Senate would never agree to. And that is why it's important for me to always break things down simply for you. I think the grandstanding is about over. And when the president's back on U.S. soils, if it's not over now, he will stop it right away. This is what you need to know, is that the reconciliation process is 9 steps, and those 9 steps go from point A to point Z. And people have been asking me, when do they start the voting? The voting goes very quickly combined. So it's not like they start and they stop for massive periods of time. But let me go over the 9 steps. Step 1 is the procedural bill is called on the House level subcommittee. Then step 2, the House floor calls a procedural vote. Step 3, the Senate calls a procedural vote. Step 4, the president signs into law the procedural bill. At that point, the tow truck is passed over the finish line. Time to go get the substantive bill, the tow hitch. Step 5, if I believe I'm counting right, the subcommittee of the House writes and votes on the substantive bill. It's at this point that the House subcommittee would put in the monthly stimulus checks if they want to. Step 6, the House floor votes on the substantive bill. Steps 7 and 8, the Senate has a 2-day vote-a-rama. During the vote-a-rama, they introduce amendments, the senators. They amend whatever they got from the House. So, for example, if the House had no stimulus checks in there, the senators can amend and add them in there. If the House bill does have stimulus checks in there, the senators can leave it alone or amend them even differently. And then finally, the president signs it into law. There you go. So to recap, if you're joining this video late, live on air, let's go over where we are right now. The reconciliation process is already underway. It will be finished July 4th. There's 9 steps involved. They're currently marking up the legislation. The Democrats of the House, Senate, and the President have all said they like stimulus checks. And the House and the Senate that writes the legislation say they're going to put it in there. The forced stimulus check legislation would pass into law on July 4th. And minutes ago, the president signed into law overseas an ancillary part of legislation that makes passing forced stimulus now even easier. Finally, the most important thing, which often is pushing. You have to push purple power. I've seen in the last 2 days some people on social media say, I'm very excited because I've heard, or saying I'm not very excited because I haven't heard. That's not how we do things on this channel. You have to assume you have to push. Why? Both Republicans and Democrats have written legislation that became law and the money never went out. They have proposed legislation in bills. They've written bills and they never called it for a vote. They've proposed items and never reduced them to a bill. And then they've proposed things and never put it to a writing. So you have to push. You have to push. Because remember, until it's finally in there, you have to ensure that everything is done. The process is still underway, and now is the time to be pushing, not after the bill is called for a vote. You want to push when they're drafting the legislation, and they're drafting it right now. So go on social media, hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power, multiple stimulus checks. Go on social media, tag your elected officials, share this video on Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram. Start your own Twitter campaign, your own memes, because it's important for you to call them up, write them a letter saying, you need to do exactly what you promised to do. You need to get this money out. We need this money, and it's imperative it goes out. Finally, yesterday we had a new unemployment number released early Thursday morning. And what did it say? We're still not at new jobless claimed numbers from pre-pandemic levels. We need a stimulus check. And the continuing unemployment claims still on the high end. We need a 4th level of stimulus checks. And with that, thank you for joining me on this extended broadcast of Noontime LA. I'm next back with you on Afternoons LA. That'll be a big show. Don't miss that one. Followed by Evenings LA. That's 3 p.m. for Afternoons LA, 5 p.m. for Evenings LA, followed by Evenings Crypto. and overnights crypto as well. Stay informed, stay focused, always stay informed, always stay motivated, and always stay smiling, and stay with LA for more.